Hey folks, Deano here again. This time, taking a look at CTTOYS' newest release, before Wolverine that is, but this is just as highly anticipated. This is the Amazing Spider-Man, number 185, which is a bootleg of Mafex 185. So yeah, a lot of people were excited when they seen this, myself included, because even though I don't show it as much on the channel, I do actually quite like Spider-Man. I like the entirety of Marvel, including the X-Men. As you've seen, I've done an entire month dedicated to those figures. So yeah, when I seen this, I knew I had to get it. I mean, being honest, I grew up in the 90s. The animated series design is probably what resonates with me the most. But the classic comic design, that still holds a place in my heart. I apologise about my voice in this video. I have been suffering with the man flu, otherwise known as the common cold. And so, yeah. Even though I'm suffering, as soon as I got this guy in the post, I knew I had to review it for you guys, just to show how it is. Again, really looking forward to the Wolverines. CTTOYS once again proving that price does not equal quality in the bootleg market. This guy was 14 quid, and he's honestly on par with most of the Dragon Ball figures third parties that I've reviewed, which is insane to me. The Miles Morales, he was okay, but this guy's on another level, like, genuinely. All of the points of articulation and such work perfectly. But yeah, let's get him off the turntable and take a look at the box. So yeah, standard CTTOYS packaging. It's similar to the official Mafex release, ever so slightly different. I think the original Mafex release was wider and deeper, whereas this guy is just your standard sized box. And it even comes with a free stand, which I know Mafex does as well, but you wouldn't expect that with a 14 quid figure, now would you? But yeah, brazen as they are, CTTOYS have got the Amazing Spider-Man, including some comic book art up top. They're not even trying to hide the fact that it is a bootleg. They do not care. I am assuming they are out of China and they feel completely protected when making these. Hopefully, Marvel, Disney, Mafex don't catch up to them before they get their Wolverine out. But yeah. Standard looking box, pretty much. The 185 references the fact that the official Mafex is numbered 185. You've got Spider-Man, classic costume version, otherwise known as the comic book version. CTTOYS logo, which I've said in previous videos, but the CTTOYS logo they use for their Mafex line is like a different logo to the one they used for the Dragon Ball figures, like the superhero Gohans, which is a bit strange, but hey yo. We've got some more comic book logos there, as well as a picture of, I would assume this is the official figure, compared to the fake one. And of course, it wouldn't be an AliExpress release without a million different labels completely wasting the back of the box. So apologies if you wanted to see the back. Not going to happen, I'm afraid. All we get is some legalese and picture on the side, Amazing Spider-Man, with him doing some wall crawling. So yeah, simple enough box, like I said. There is a nice little diorama in the back of the box, but not really worth taking out or anything like that. So yeah, let's take a look at his accessories. So in terms of accessories, first things first, he comes with a stand which isn't a Mafex stand. It's kind of like, well, it's mostly based off a Tamashii stage, the Act 4, which is like your standard bootleg base these days. Slightly different though, in that it has an extra hole on the base. Yeah, it's decent. It'll get the job done. Always welcome to have extra stands. I use that many of them. I could always be doing more. He comes with 2 heads. Unfortunately, the other head he comes with is a bit misprinted on my copy. It's sort of like the angry eyes, which, to be completely honest with you, was what I was going to display him with. I prefer these sort of eyes because it reminds me of the animated look. But yeah, fortunately, as you can see, some of the line printing is messed up on mine. Thankfully, it didn't go into the lenses or anything like that, so I can probably... Well, in fact, I could probably use my Gundam pore marker to sort of like fill those gaps in. I may end up trying that. I may not. Not really anything to expect an update on. Yeah, the face that comes with him in the package is much better done, thankfully. In fact, I would almost say it's spotless. Like, there is a tiny little blemish there on that cheek, but apart from that, like, yeah, there is a little bit of scratch there, but yeah, that's pretty much immaculate. Like, there's hardly any issue there whatsoever on that face. The only thing I've never liked about this comic design is how big the eyes are. Like, those eyes are going down past his cheek. You'd basically draw a mouth from the bottom of both lenses and it would be in the right place. But yeah, apart from that, it's still decent. I just don't like those bug eyes, I'll be honest. The heads do pop off really easy. I'll just quickly show that. You've got the standard Mafex sort of angled barbell joint there. Yeah, we'll go more into articulation in a second. In terms of hands, well, feet first actually. We get the extra set of feet, which I have to admit are a bit better painted than the ones that's on him in the package. So one thing that lets this bootleg down is the red on some of the accessory parts. But yeah, other than that, it's decent enough. You do get magnets there. They have a decent enough pull to them, but not anything I would probably like trust them with. You get a pair of hands with magnets in them as well. Again, decently strong, but not something I would really trust to hold anything. As you can see, the hands are by far the worst part of this figure. For whatever reason, they got the dark wash really well on like most of the figure, but parts of it have either smudged out or just haven't been caught at all. So I think what happened was they obviously put this figure in a dark wash to get the blacks into all the web lines, but then some parts were not left to dry long enough, especially the hands, and they've sort of just smudged out, honestly. So you get a pair of web gripping hands, which are decent enough. Those go with this, which I'll quickly show. You just pop that in there. Kind of pops in quite nice, just at that little web detail there. So yeah, decent enough. You get a pair of thwipping hands, which are quite curved on this guy, which is a little bit strange compared to what I'm used to. but they're decent enough. Again, they're quite smudged, where the black lines should be. But yeah, pair of wall crawling or web crawling hands without the magnets. Again, issues with the black. These ones are better than most, but there is definitely issues there. He comes with a pair of sort of relaxed open hands, which, again, not great with the paint apps. These actually are on him in the package. I just swapped them out with the fists, which are on him at the moment. One side decently enough detailed, but this one is sort of missing that dark wash in the fist, which kind of noticeable when the other side has got an abundance of it. Gotta be honest. But yeah, much like most Mafex, we've got the straight peg, which is a lot better than what Figure Arts still tends to do. I really wish Figure Arts would do some copybacks with Mafex and copy those straight pegs, because they honestly work so much better than the ball pegs. So yeah, finally we have some web accessories, which this is a new one. I am not sure if this was with the original or not. It didn't come with the miles, so yeah, fair enough. It's got a sort of web there with what I'm assuming is a peg hole for the stand, to sort of have it flying off towards someone. You could also put some blue tack in the middle there and have it stuck to someone as well. Decent enough. Bit of a niche accessory though, not one that you will use a whole lot. Unlike the miles, you only get one of these. Sort of, it's been fired, but it's at an angle. He's holding the web instead of whipping it out. You get two of the web whipping hands in medium size. That goes between the wrist peg and the wrist, and it just fires out. And then a couple of small ones, which do the same job as well. Always nice to get some decent web accessories, especially since, because I had to bring down spoilers for the comparisons, the other Spiderman, which were all swinging off the webs, these don't feel as if they're going to snap, which the Figure Arts bootleg one has snapped, which has made me cry. So yeah, let's take a look at the figure now. So where to begin? Honestly, like I said at the start of the review, this guy is like probably the best bootleg I've ever seen for this price point. Like, I'm not gonna like stretch out any more than that. This is an excellent bootleg for 14 quid. Obviously it's not perfect, as I alluded to in the accessory department. There are some points where the webbing is missed, like the dark wash that they tried to put in the webbing. But as far as I'm aware, the original Mafex one suffered from similar issues, and that figure is probably most people's best Spider-Man figure, like to date, which is insane to think about. But yeah, I can see where they were coming from with it. Like, I honestly can. This figure is amazing. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't look cheap either for the most part. Like I said already, pretty much the only issues are with certain parts of the web lines. Like, everything else seems perfect. The spider logo could be doing with a little bit less black paint. but it still gets the point across what it is. Like, there is absolutely no issue whatsoever. But yeah, in terms of like design, you can't go wrong. Like, obviously, CTTOYS being CTTOYS, they have like this sort of knack of reusing certain parts of products from their previous figures. So, for example, the waist and the upper legs, those are absolutely reused from not only the Miles figure, but also from the first figure they used it with, the symbiote suit, which, I mean, if people want me to review that figure, I will. It's a bit older now, so I genuinely don't think there would be much interest in it. It's still readily available on AliExpress. Like, I'll leave a link in the description for it, and for this guy, as long as I can find them. But yeah, they should still be readily available on AliExpress. But yeah, overall, I can't really fault the details whatsoever. In fact, I can't really tell what's painted and what isn't. Like, is the red paint the standard plastic colour and the blue's painted? I really can't tell. Like, that's how well painted it is. But yeah, I like the blue as well. It's coming up quite like a royal blue on camera. Unfortunately, it isn't. Jump cut, sorry, had a coughing fit there. But yeah, unfortunately, it isn't that deep on the figure itself. But that's not to say it's a bad colour. Like, it's almost like a sky blue. Which, yeah, it looks really good. It looks really classic. Like, I do really like it. In terms of articulation, it's pretty much the same story with most Mafex and most CTTOYS Spiderman. Head can look up that much. He can look down quite a bit. For some reason, the neck on these, I have seen a few reviews of them already, but the neck doesn't move nearly as much as the Miles did. I am not sure why. If you angle the peg properly, he would be able to look down at his chest, but just a bit unfortunate that if we bring in the Miles, where it's a lot better. In fact, that might actually be the problem. I'll discuss it in a minute. Yeah, the Miles can look down perfectly fine. But yeah, they possibly reused the neck for Miles when making this guy, which means tolerances of the neck into the chest, they aren't very good. So yeah, the neck is very tight. Not that you really need it, because that peg alone still gives him a lot of range. You get a lot of movement there. You can sort of force the neck to move ever so slightly, but yeah, it's not something you're going to be able to rely on, I'm afraid. Bit of a shame, but what are you going to do? It's a 14 quid figure. The arms can, if you maneuver that butterfly joint, get up that far, which is really good. Bit of a tight joint there. You use this sort of butterfly joint and he gets insane butterfly. Like that. That is I think that actually beats Miles, and I was really impressed with Miles' version. So yeah. You do get the swivel, hinge. There is a bicep cut there. The butterfly joint does move quite a lot of directions. It's not just forward and back, so that is good. Bicep or elbow joint can get almost a full 180, which is really good. Wrists are on that single hinge with the straight peg, which gets some decent range as well. The ab section, as you've seen there, does pop off. If you use it in conjunction with the waist, you get some insane movement. You can crunch that much. It's really good. It's just that I think on my copy in particular, that peg hole might be just a bit too far in, which is sort of popping it apart. But I'll take it because it's making this section really like have zero gaps whatsoever. So I'll definitely take that. You get a waist swivel. Be quite careful with that. That feels a bit tight. Might have to put some shock oil on that. Hips are 1.0 style figure arts hips. So without using the drop down, you can kick up at that much. If you pull them down, you can kick up a hell of a lot further. That's insane range, honestly. He can he do the full splits? Pretty much. Ever so slightly off the whole 180, but yeah, that's nothing to be sniffed at. Like, that is really good range. He does have thigh rotation up here at the hips. I know a lot of people have been complaining lately about figures not having a thigh cut, but that pretty much does the same job. Like, to be honest, maybe I'm just that used to figure arts doing it. Like, I don't know. Knees, you get almost perfect back. It's just the bottom half of the legs are angled anatomically correct. You can tell I'm still ill. I can't talk properly. Feet are on a ball hinge. Much better than the standard sort of ball peg that figure arts tends to use still. So you can get back a lot, and get forward just as much. If you want even more range, of course, the bottom half is literally just the same wrist peg, just a bit bigger. So you can pull that out ever so slightly to get even more range, and that goes on and off really easily. Toe articulation, and of course, because of that hinge, he gets really good ankle pivot. I really like that. So yeah, all in all, like, I would absolutely recommend this figure. I know for a while there I was recommending the Marvel Legends bootleg if you needed a classic looking Spidey on your shelf, but this guy has just completely destroyed him. Like, the articulation's better, details are better, and he costs about the same price. Yeah, let's get some comparisons in here. So here he is compared to the Miles bootleg. Miles suffers a little bit at the shoulders compared to this guy. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't think the peg was long enough. But at the same time, these two look amazing together. Not entirely sure my Miles is a bit taller than Peter in this aspect. CTTOYS, their Mafex bootlegs do tend to run a bit smaller than they should, but I still assumed they would be in scale. But yeah, here he is next to the Figure Arts Sony PS4 Spidey, which, yeah, there's a bit of height on this guy, but this guy takes it in terms of design, honestly. I really like this design in the game, but this figure just does not capture it well at all. To be completely honest with you. Plus the proportions are a lot better. And finally, here he is next to the bootleg 90s animated series Spidey. And you can see there's a lot of similarities here, because, of course, back then, Spidey mostly looked the same, regardless of what comic he was from. It was really just the faces that looked different. But yeah, I like this. The Mafex one looks a lot better in pretty much every respect. But that's not discounting this guy. This guy can still get in some insane poses if you need him to. So yeah, let's quickly do some head swaps while we're here, shall we? Just to see what it looks like, because of course you can use this body for different ones. Can I get that out of there? No, I cannot. Oh well, looks like I won't be doing it with the animated Spidey, but I can do it with some of the others. So let's just get the PS4 Spidey out here. See how that looks. Well, apart from the skin colour being off, or the suit colour I should say, that kind of looks like the PS4 Spidey at the start of the first game, before he upgraded to the upgraded suit. So yeah, if you can make it fit, you can make it work, then by all means go for it. Just a shame those colours are off. Finally, let's see what he looks like with the alternate head. Yeah, it's a shame those web lines are off for that, because I really like that look. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. I will have a link in the description to this figure and Miles, and if I can find it, the Marvel Legends one as well. But yeah, definitely looking forward to their Wolverines. That is something I am genuinely excited about. So yeah, guys, until next time, I will see y'all later.